ahead, please.
Okay, I just remuted and unmuted, but anyways, following Mr. Brock's line of questioning, just to put a fine point on it, can you please provide to this committee in writing a detailed breakdown of monthly costs associated with both locations and all costs, any taxes, any condo fees, any co-op fees, utilities? A clear breakdown for both locations, all the information you have. You'll be able to provide that to the committee within the usual timeline?
Mr. Chair, as already mentioned, we can provide the option analysis, which actually include the net present value, that it should be including all that information. I also would like to clarify that...
No, that's fine. It's my time. You're going to provide all that information that I requested in writing. Thank you. My next question is...
Point of order, Mr. Chair. I thought there was a statement that was going to clarify what Mr. Genis was asking, and I would like to hear it.
Well,
you can. I'm sorry. I'll address this, Mr. Longfield. You can hear it during your time, but this is Mr. Genis' time, please. Thank you.
People who have been here for a long time have complete ignorance of the rules. Chair, how much time do I have left?
4 minminutes.
Thank you.
Point of order. I don't appreciate the comment that Mr. Genis just made to an honorable member.
Okay, excuse me.
Nonsense.
I'll declare, Mr. Longfield, that's not a point of order. Appreciate it, but we understand the sentiment. Mr. Genis, continue with your time, please.
Thank you. Just to the witnesses, I do want to say I think it's pretty disingenuous to project cost savings based on a comparison of purchase price in one case with asking price in another. That's clearly an apples to orange comparison, maybe more precisely an apples to magic apples comparison. You've set an asking price for the old property at 550 Park Avenue, but that asking price is not the same as the appraised value. We heard that yesterday. My research team looked at other properties being sold at 550 Park Avenue. All of them have sold substantially below asking price if they were sold at all. In many cases, they were sold at reduced price. There was a reduced price and then they were taken off the market and not sold. And just for your reference, we looked at units number 10, 2W, 17E, 11W, 12A, 16AE, and 6W, all cases where they were reduced in price and not sold, or they sold at a substantially reduced price below the asking price. So your fake math of asking price comparison to the purchase price is pretty thin. If you wanted to show that this was a good transaction, if you wanted to show that there were savings, I'd like to know why in the world didn't you just sell the existing property first before purchasing the new property? That would have given you a sense of what your actual comparison was in terms of numbers. Why did you wait to even list the old property until you purchased the new one?
Chair, I welcome the question. Let's remember that the residence is a place of work. So it's not just like a pure residence. So we actually needed business continuity. If we would have sold the actual residence, we would have actually have to lease another location so we ensure business continuity, which is why we didn't do that.
Sir, you have multiple different locations where you can hold events. So for an interim period of a few months, you could have used many other spaces in New York, the consulate itself, space that's available to the UN ambassador. You could have hosted other events in other locations. In fact, most of the hospitality expenses for Mr. Clark involve restaurants. You are frequently hosting events in restaurants. So that excuse isn't going to fool anyone either, sir. Why could you not at least secure a buyer for the old location before moving to the new location instead of coming to committee with this fake comparison of apples and oranges?
Mr. Chair, I will go back to the criteria that we've talked about when we select a location. It's about not only location, but security.
The question is, why didn't you sell first?
And business continuity to ensure also that it met the criteria for the location.
But there are so many other locations in New York where you could have events. Another question in the same vein. Is your analysis of numbers predicated on Park Avenue property selling by within a certain time frame? You told us about certain potential alleged savings. Is that predicated on it selling within a certain time frame?
Mr. Chair, welcome. The question, this saving that we have presented in our net present value is not tied to a specific sale of the current condo. Thank you.
Well, that doesn't make any sense then, because you have ongoing carrying costs associated with both properties for as long as you own them. Now, in the context of selling one property and purchasing another in New York, the Government of Canada may have had to pay but may have been exempt from the following: capital gains tax, the U.S. Foreign Investment and Real Property Tax Act, state and city transfer taxes, New York's mansion tax. Which of these taxes or costs did you have to pay, and which, if any, were you exempt from?
I'm afraid time has not been left for an answer.
Chair, I think everything should be working on my end. I think one thing that's come clearly through the Liberal line here is that they believe that investing in Canada means investing in luxury for a few well-connected officials. This underlines that Liberals can't tell the difference between investing in Canada and investing in themselves. And this was very clear in Mr. Kuzmarichuk's comments. Of course, Conservatives recognize the importance of our presence in New York. We also recognize the cost of living crisis, and that events can be held in various places. We don't need an infinite number of possible places to host events. And I want to drill down into this, the government's argument here that this is fundamentally about hosting. So the Government of Canada purchased a glitzy $9 million residence on Billionaires Row with all kinds of incredibly luxurious features. It's much nicer than the kind of property that most Canadians or most New Yorkers would have. And the claim that the government's made is, well, this allows them to host events. Ironically, though, this glitzier property, much nicer place for the occupant, but has
just a point of order, Chair.
Less hosting space.
All right, let me interrupt you. That's a point of order, Mr. Genuis.
I'm just wondering if you could just check through the clerk if we're having any challenges with our interpretation. I'm hearing
okay. I'm hearing the French okay. Are you interpreter? Can you hear Mr. Genuis okay? Yep,
okay.
We're fine.
Perfect. I apologize for the interruption.
Sorry, Mr. Genuis. Go ahead.
No problem. So, in terms of potential hosting in this new location, do you have a copy of the condo rules associated with hosting events in the new location?
Mr. Chair, once again, when it comes to the new location that we have purchased, it is more efficient and cost-effective, as we said.
And that's not
in terms of the
my question, sir. Do you have the condo rules?
Mr. Chair, in terms of the condo and the condo rules, we would get. I would have to get back to you. I don't have that information with me right now.
Okay, so the primary justification you've used is that you want to be hosting events in the new location. You think it's more appropriate for hosting them. There are rules associated with hosting events. You must surely know what those rules are in order to make the case that this is a more appropriate or preferential location in some way, or that you can host events at all in the new location. And yet you don't know what those rules are. Is that correct?
We're actually purchasing as a more suitable and private setting for high-level things that it was mentioned.
Sir,
when it comes to
condo rules.
Yeah, when it comes to rules, I will turn to my colleague, Mr. Dubois, that can speak to the details of those rules.
Does anybody have the condo rules?
Thank you for the question. Yes, somebody has the condo rules, but I don't have them with me. I know that there are two options for the head of mission there in that building. It's basically he can use his own unit to entertain for smaller, more personal events. But there's also...
Sir, do you have the specific condo rules? Does somebody in the Government of Canada have those specific condo rules? You understand how important this is, right? The whole justification for this luxury condo is we can host events. There are rules that govern the building in terms of what events can be hosted. So somebody in the Government of Canada should have those rules and should be able to provide those quickly to this committee. Can you undertake to ensure that we are able to see those rules within, say, 48 hours?
I would. I'm totally. I know those rules exist, and I know somebody has it. I can undertake to go back and find them. I would rather have a longer period of time to deliver if the chair agrees with me.
Okay. Well, we need to have them prior to next week's meeting with Mr. Clark. So will you get them to us by Monday at noon?
Yeah, I can come back and inquire and see if I can get them to the committee by Monday.
By Monday at noon, they'll need to be translated as well.
I'm sorry, was that on? Did you mention the translation? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I assume the existing.
Oh, yeah.
Just I assume this is part of my time.
Would you maybe advise the clerk end of the day or tomorrow morning about an update on when you'll be able to provide those rules to us, and then we'll get back to the committee then.
Thank you for the flexibility, Mr. Chair, because the document must be only in one official language.
Oh, I know, but just get back to the clerk today or us tomorrow or the clerk tomorrow morning about how long or when you'll be able to deliver that to us so we can get it translated.
Thank you.
You've got a short bit of time left, Mr. Genos.
Yeah. Just a follow-up question on that. Can those existing rules be changed by a simple majority of people in the building? How can those rules be changed? And what are the chances that the hosting rules would change once we've moved in?
Well, there's always an annual meeting with the building condo owner, and the rules can certainly be amended. But
so you don't know the rules, and the rules, even if they are more favorable, they can be changed by a vote of those in the building. So the whole justification for this luxury condo is hosting events. And you can't tell me the rules for hosting events, and those rules are subject to change by a vote of those in the building, and allegedly, so many of our potential investments depend on the ability to hold events in the private home of the Consul General. Like, do you see the obvious absurdity of this, sir? How your lack of knowledge of those rules doesn't square with the claims that have been made today?
Great that I think Mr. Dubois has clearly explained that we know those rules, like that's part of like what the team is looking at, and we will be pleased to get back to you in terms of when we could provide those rules. And I think the question was about can those rules be changed? Yes, they can be changed. That's typical in a condo, and they will have their annual meeting to look at that.
You don't have the rules to present to us today, so we'll look forward to looking at them.